Okay, well, here we go. Trying to share some other aspects of things that are going on in my life. I've been doing these flyers. God, everything I say is just like so contrived and fucking artificial. I just can't help it. I've been taught to protect myself and my feelings from being expressed. Now I'm trying to be honest, and it's coming out like a song. Oh my god. Anyway, so I've been doing these Be Mighty flyers, as some of you might know. Very few of you, but if you're walking around the streets of New York City, you just might see one. And so what I do is every week I'm putting out like 50 to 100 flyers, maybe a little bit more actually. But I'm just putting them with different quotes on each of the tabs that you kind of tear off. And so basically, I'm doing it right now. So how exciting is that? I'm basically just taking whatever the quotes it is I find throughout the week, and I type them out. It's really hard to talk and type at the same time. I just realized that, which is a crank in my little plan to tell you stories while I'm trying to type this stuff. But I'll tell you anyway, because the story that I was thinking of, it's really hard, is something that was really important to me in my, my experience as an individual, my development as a young adult, and also as someone who was just kind of learning to break free of the definitions and borders and perceptions of reality, as you know, as I'd had throughout all of my younger life. Boy, long way to say. When I first moved to France, when I graduated college, I took the first plane to leave Cleveland, where I had been like all my life. I even went to college there, and I basically just got on the first flight I could the day after graduation, and I basically just wanted to start this new life as soon as I could. I had spent 6 months, a year previous, in a study abroad program at the Lacoste School of Arts, and it's in the south of France, a beautiful place, which I have postcard to, usually somewhere around here, but not immediately available. Oh, here it is. Here's well. This is actually a picture from outside the town where I used to live. Well, here, just take it down on this, stuck it in this plaque. I don't know if you can see that. But it's a beautiful place. I lived in a little house up here near the top. It was in the village of the Marquis de Sade. And anyway, the long story is that for me, getting out of Cleveland and finding a place that I could define by myself, by my own standards, without the remembrance of, you know, all the ways that I was defined as I was growing up. And the ability to sort of learn a new language was a fundamentally powerful change in my life. It basically allowed me to start associating new words with new meaning. There are new sounds with new meaning. So it was like the time I got to sort of redefine for myself what I wanted the world to represent. And in doing so, it really like liberated me from my past and let me have the chance at sort of redefining my life in the way that I wanted it to be, rather than the way it was, or the way I had been told it was. You know, and it's not like I've had the most difficult childhood or upbringing of, by any standard, but I think everyone, bears their own hardship and love and difficulty in their own way. And to each person, those traumas and those experiences are really difficult. And I had, I would say some challenges in my life, having grown up, being a, how to say this, my dad and mom were both drug addicts, and I basically didn't have a safe place, I think, as a child, which is probably why after one day of daycare, I just decided that I'd walk home in the opposite direction. And this is kind of at the age of 3 years old, I was walking across there was like the daycare center. It was like an empty space, and then it was there was like this little bridge, and then it was my home. So the daycare people were like, "You can go home." Probably my mom or whoever was supposed to pick me up didn't pick me up, and so they were just like, "Why don't you just go home?" And so I got across the bridge, and to the best I can remember, I looked back and figured out that they weren't looking, and then decided to walk back in front, and then take a turn and walk all the way to my grandparents' house, which was quite a distance away. And that was at the age of 3. And from that point on, then they said, "You know what? He's not going to live with you guys anymore." Both my grandparents, my mom's family and my dad's family, kind of decided that something was not right. And they sort of took me in after that point. So, that's kind of like a good, sort of picture of where my life began, and the sort of definitions under which that I'd grown up. And I really thought that, that for some reason there was something wrong with me, that people wouldn't want to be with me. My parents want to have me in their life. That's always, I think, kids always blame themselves first. They can't, there's an incapacity in children to understand that, that the nurturing that they seek and yet haven't received is not due to their own fault, because they only see their reaction to their world, or their actions in the world, as reciprocal to love or to the nurturing that they receive. So when a kid doesn't get love or nurturing, and it's not, it's immediately they associate it with something that they've done, and maybe something they haven't understood in themselves yet. So that's kind of the way I grew up. There's other stories that maybe will come out over time, but that was a big one. This big definition of myself was saying to myself always that I felt I wasn't worthy, and I didn't deserve things in life, or happiness, or sometimes even life itself. I just felt that I didn't see any value in myself. So basically, you get the picture. So going to France and being able to go through this process of reassigning values to language, and reassigning sounds to things, let me kind of have an experience that, it's funny, I was typing experience while I was saying experience, that empowered me to define the world in a new way that was my own. So basically what I wanted to get to is the point of the story is that point in my life when I was learning French was a time that I I would sit there with a book. I think I was reading at the time Milan Kundera's um, Unbearable Lightness of Being, L'insoutenable légèreté de l'être, and basically I couldn't find any other way to explain for myself that I was good or bad or whatever I have as a meaningless life. But in these exercises that I would do for the book and reading it, I would every paragraph highlight a word that I didn't understand or I didn't recognize or didn't know. And what I would do is I would take that word and then later at home or whatever, or maybe when I was in the office, because I ended up working at this art school that I studied at, was that I'd start typing out the quote, the words. So I'd write out the definition, and then I'd go back to the office, and I was also like learning to type at the time, so it was kind of like I was learning two things at once. And the practice that I put into place by doing that was an amazing thing, because it let me learn very quickly French, and I really sort of started grasping the words, because I was writing them out, then I was typing them, and then I'd review those sheets. So like it was constantly reinvigorating, revisiting those words and the new meanings. Well, not new meanings, but the new sounds associated with these things. So it was like it was an incredible practice, and basically, sorry. This is really hard to do at the same time. So what I wanted to say basically was that this practice, the Be Mighty Flyers, is a funny reminder to me of those days, because excuse me, it's really it's kind of like a similar thing. I feel almost like a need to do these things, these flyers for myself, but it's also a great thing because I can share it with a lot of people, and and hopefully, it can touch the lives of a lot of people. Hopefully, people like myself, who many years ago didn't see the value in my own life, and hopefully if they can find a flyer and pull off a tab by some anonymous person who put this flyer up with these like little words of wisdom, then their life will be better. And I mean that's everything, right? Because that's all the difference it takes is just some subtle little change in one person's life, and you can make an incredible difference. And so this is a really simple way of doing something that I think has a great impact. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm making these flyers, and now I'm posting them. Well, I'm probably not going to posting them tonight because it's raining out. But instead, I decided to make this this video, and we'll see how far it goes. I mean, I love it. I really want to keep it going every week. I said I put up a new one, and the response has been really good. It's like still just I started in just before my birthday this year in May, so it's a few months old, and I just love it. I just love the idea of being able to give something to people that, you know, whether they're on their little route to work or, you know, in the morning they're getting ready for a little run, or they're coming home after a hard day, you can pull off a tab and find a little bit of inspiration and hopefully motivation for, you know, your next day, or your next challenge, whatever that might come, because they come. God, they know they come. Yeah, so that's it. That's some of the thought and process behind the Be Mighty Flyers. If you guys like it, you can check it out at my site. It's kind of a soft launch right now, but it's bemighty.net. And you'll see when you go on, it goes bemighty.net/work. So it's a network, Be Mighty Network. And the idea is that people can post, you know, anything. Share a quote that they like, share you know, a phrase or slogan or something that inspired you, or comment on some of the posts that are on there. You know, it's trying to kind of build an archive of the project for the Be Mighty Flyers, but also just to sort of keep a reservoir of these ideas and all these shares and all these touch points that the Be Mighty Flyer project has affected. So that's it. I will leave you with that. Thank you. Be mighty. Thank you, guys.